Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. So today we are going to discuss completely regarding the serverless, and we are going to do a complete hands-on practical on different serverless services provided by AWS. Okay, so I'll just give you a brief intro what we're going to do today. Uh, so let's start with a term called serverless, and moving forward we'll be learning about different serverless services like Lambda and SES, which is used for sending emails. And we're going to discuss what is CloudWatch, and we are going to integrate with API Gateway. Yesterday we discussed regarding the API Gateway, how we created and how we attach to the EC2 instance, right? So we are going to now attach the API Gateway to Lambda, and we're going to discuss what is IAM today. So this is like our agenda today. So there is a lot of things. So let's start with serverless. So the term itself says there is like less server. Okay. The term how serverless came is there is like something like yesterday we discussed a couple of things, but today let's deep dive and understand what exactly a serverless is. Okay. So before we were discussing about how like from starting classes we discussed how to create our own laptop and why we are creating a laptop exactly to run apps, right? So we need an OS, we need an operating system, we need underlying hardware, right? It's like a lot of things we are managing. So it's like we are completely managing the infrastructure in or like creating entire hardware. Okay, we call it as like infrastructure. So we create the infrastructure and we installed the operating system and we created a Flask app and ran on top of the centered infrastructure. In terms of AWS, we call it as EC2. We created EC2 instances. We created everything on top of it and we ran the apps. Or one of the Flask app we ran. So, but it's take a lot of time consuming, and finally just want to like run only one single app, right? That's it. We need some output from the app. Is it successful or fail, or are you doing some operations on some data, or are you calling some other app or some other server, some other operating system or some other system? Okay, or are you calling some APIs? Okay, some operation is being performed by this app or some function. Okay, finally there is some function running behind which does some operation. Okay, but for this single function, okay, for calling this function, for running this function, we just created entire infrastructure, right? But finally when we are not using or when we didn't call, when it doesn't run this function, okay, this infrastructure is still there and we are paying for that infrastructure. Okay, as we discussed, Amazon is like pay as you go, or how much resources you used, you are going to pay for that resource. Okay, but even though when you are not using or not calling this function, it's still running on this infrastructure, underlying infrastructure. You have already used it and you configured it or you provisioned it. So in that case, you are still using that infrastructure from the AWS. So in that case, you're going to pay for those apps or for this infrastructure. So that's the problem, one of the problem we faced, and we moved something like a serverless concept where AWS says you don't bother about underlying hardware or infrastructure. We will build it. We build the infrastructure. Okay, infra. You just have to just run your function. That's it. Just give your function. We'll run it whenever you just trigger this function. Something like that. They created this kind of model called serverless. They will manage entire creation of this infrastructure. Okay, they will make sure to scale up. Okay, something like if there are like 1,000 users comes to this app, okay, they will increase this infrastructure. Okay, let's assume we first created 2 GB RAM. Okay, and a lot of requests came to this app, then they will try to increase this RAM. Okay, let's assume they increase it to 10 GB based on our request. Okay, based on the latency, the traffic which comes to the app. So that like scaling up or provisioning more amount of resources to our infrastructure, we call it as like scaling up, and it automatically does scale down also. Okay, which is like when there is no traffic, we will reduce the infrastructure so that you don't have to pay for that extra price. So something like they're going to do this. We call it as like auto scale, auto scaling kind of thing. Okay, they maintain everything. Who? The AWS people, they maintain it. Okay, so the term comes like you don't have to maintain entire server. we maintain it. So the term came like serverless is like you don't have to do anything, just give your function and we'll run whenever the request comes in. So for this, there are like many serverless services in AWS. Okay, one of the service is called like Lambda. Okay, and before going to this, we need to know like there is one terminology called like infrastructure as code. Okay, uh, we normally code. Okay, we normally write a lot of code to provision this infrastructure. Now they automatically does behind the scene. Okay, whenever you use like, let's assume there is one of the serverless service called Lambda, which is provided by AWS. Okay, this is something like you just give your function. Okay, underlying entire RAM, CPU, hard disk, in network configurations, everything will make sure we create, give for you, do all the auto scaling kind of thing based on the traffic. We maintain it. You just give it. Okay, so it's like a anonymous function kind of thing. Just give it, we'll run it in the backend. Okay, that's the concept of Lambda, which is like a serverless service. So yeah, so we just learned about what is serverless. Let's go and do practically how to create a Lambda function. Okay, yesterday we discussed about sending emails, right? So we have that code, right? So I just did some modification to this Lambda code, Lambda function. Okay, I'll just give it a brief intro to you how to write and how to just do a small thing. Uh, before showing that Lambda, let me tell you like how to send emails. Okay, there is a service called SES in which is a serverless service also. Okay, you don't have to maintain entire infrastructure to send a email. Okay, you don't have to need any mail server to send it. Normally previously we used to have like a dedicated server. Okay, something like Gmail server or some other server, we maintain it. Okay, which acts like a mail server, which takes the requests and sends the uh, mail to some other person who are like we have like from and to, right? So we'll just send it to that respective domain. So now you don't have to bother anything. Okay, you just need to like just tell to AWS use the SES. I'll give from and to and the body and message other things in the mail. You just have to send to that recipient. That's it. So entire infrastructure creation, it takes care. How much request it comes, it takes care. Everything, the underlying thing, it takes care. Okay, you just don't have to worry about it. So let's move and see what is SES. It's like basic configuration. Let's build app like uh, where we use a lambda, okay, which is like a function. Okay, what does this function does is send emails. Okay, how is like we use this SES to integrate with other email servers. Okay, this is the main SES component which sends the email, and this function calls the SES to send an email. Okay, something like that we are going to do. In future, like between, we are going to discuss how to integrate these all things. But let's move forward and just create this SES first. Okay. Uh, yeah, let's open. Go to this console. We already discussed about EC2, right? Just search here SES. You'll get like Amazon Simple Email Service. Okay, click on it. And here, don't bother about anything. Just go and click identities. It's like one of the identity you're going to create from which you are going to send the emails. Right? There are like two things, right? From and to. Okay, so we need to make sure to whom from where we are going to send and to whom we are going to send. So we need to register the identities. These are the two identities we need to register to send an email. Okay, so that Amazon makes sure like we verified that identity and it's a valid email. You can send it. Something like they are going to do some validations in backend, but you don't have to bother about it. Just you need to register those users. So I'll just show it how to create it. Just click on create identity. Just click on like email address. There are like domain validations also, but don't focus on it. Just click on email. Give a email address. Okay, let me just give my email address quickly. Just go and copy the email. Okay, and paste here. Okay, and you don't have to select these things. These are for default configuration. Just click create identity. Okay, so what you just did is just you added an identity. You'll get an email to this address, and you need to do a verification pending thing. There is a message, so you'll get an email. Just make sure to approve it. So you got this email. You can just refresh it. You can see I got it. Just click on this link. Okay, it just says like congratulations, your email is verified. Okay, just go back to this thing. Just refresh it. Now you'll be seeing like verified. That's it. Just simple quick verification. Okay, just refresh it, verified. So right now you can add one more recipient to two also. This is like from and to, but right now I don't have another email. I'm just sticking to this one single email. This will be a from and this will be a to. Okay, something like this. Uh, so let me just we just added the recipient. So the first part is the SES configuration. We just did it, and the next part will be like AWS Lambda configuration. Okay, let's do it quickly. Okay, let me show you how and what is a Lambda. So you can just click on Lambda here and search like this. So it says like let's you run code without thinking about service. So they are talking about service means they're talking about the underlying hardware. Okay, you don't have to bother about it because you're just finally you're going to run a single function and you'll be just returning or doing some operations, right? Right now we are building to do something like sending an email using SES. So that's the only main motto of the server or this function. Okay, so you can just see sample examples. This is for Node and for Python. If you're comfortable, we are just going to build on Python. In future, if you need, you can ask me. I'll just build for Node if you want. Okay. Or in Java, you can write Node.NET or Ruby. Any programming language you can write. Okay. Let's just quickly go and create it. Okay. Create function. And it asks for like from scratch you want to build a blueprint or container. Let's go with scratch. Okay. Let's create some function name. Okay, you can just give like send email. Okay, this suggested. I just created already, so that's why it's just suggested. So just you just give send email. Okay, select like Python over here. Python 3.13 is the latest version. Okay, you can select it. Uh, okay, it asks for permissions. Okay, let me do one thing. Let's create this permission first. Okay, let me just give you a brief intro before going forward about the permission. Okay, uh, so there is like something like I already said, right? If there are two systems, okay, and they just want to connect with each other, we need few things, right? Something like we need discuss like protocol things, protocol, and it's like a set of rules, right? What it says like you need some IP address to which you want to connect, and some port number you need to know, and even you need the access, right? So access means like you need a username and password. So there are two things which you need to know, okay, while connecting. There are two things. One is a system itself or some program is going to connect to another program, okay, or else a human comes and uses a program to connect to this another program. Okay, there are two things. But finally, there is like communication between two programs itself. Okay, but there is some concept called if you are connecting from one system user and to another system user, then you will be using like username and password most of the time. Okay, and these two are like common things: IP address and port number. And of course, there are definitely like some firewalls within the other side. Okay, to make sure like all the requests are safe. Okay, but just don't ignore about it. We are just bothering about these things for now. Okay, uh, but if we discuss about the user, right? But there is a possibility that okay, there is some program okay running every day okay which wants to connect to another system okay, and there is another program over here okay, and this program want to connect to program automatically okay. In this case okay, we normally have something like roles okay. There's a concept called roles okay. We just create a role and say like uh, let's assume it gives some key okay, something like secret key and uh, access key. Okay, so something like this it creates in backend, but don't bother about it. Okay, for now, in future we'll be definitely learning. But you can think like a role is something like we are giving some permissions to this system. Okay, to connect to this system. Okay, if you have this specific for permission to connect this system or this program, then that role is able to like accessible to it. Okay, if you don't have this secret key and access key, you are not eligible or you don't have access to do this or you cannot connect to it. Similar to this username and password, right? Without username and password, you are unable to log into any system, right? So something like that. These roles are there to connect to one program to another program or one system to another system. Okay, which is done automatically without a human intervention. Okay, this is the like main major thing which differentiate whether a user or human is connecting to a system or a system is connecting to another system. Something like that. Okay, so you just add a basic idea of what is a role, right? So this roles creation, all username password creations, which this entire thing are handled in a service called IAM in AWS. Okay, uh, AWS says you can configure all these username, passwords, or access keys and rules, everything. You can do it from IAM. Okay. So let me just show what is an IAM, how it looks like. Okay. Just click here, go into this console. Here you can see like there are users, right? Here you can create multiple users. Normally, I'm in the root user, okay, but it's not a good way to work from this user. Always you need to create a user with less privileges or less accesses. Okay, let's assume let's create like a normal user. Okay, like or else you can just create like your own name, right? Let's give like a Sagar or some other name. Okay, provide user access to AWS console. Click on it. Okay, specify a user in identity center. Just click like I want to create IAM user. You can give your custom password, something like some password. Okay, and user must create a new password. No, just don't click on this. Okay, and just create some password over here. Okay, and you can click next, and you can just give permissions, right? Attach policies, what all access he can do, something like we have like power user, right? So here he has almost everything regarding admin access, but he cannot create new users. Okay, something like this you can just create and click next, right? You can just click next. He has this permission, and that's it. You can create a user. Okay, you can just download this file, or else you already know this username Sagar, and you already know the password. Just return to the user list. Okay, continue. That's it. So now you can see there are users, right? Now you can just log out and check, log into this account with the Sagar user, right? Let me do this one thing. Okay, let me log in to this root user quickly. It asks for my code. Let me just grab it. I just added the multi-factor authentication code here. You can just set it up for extra security. So here you can just go to IAM. Okay, I'm just not showing this user login right now. Okay, let's move forward in creating the roles. Okay, this user, I think you got an idea, right? How to just log in into the user normal account. Okay, you can create new users here, and you can assign multiple permissions here. What actions you can do within this account. Okay, but we can discuss this later. But right now, just we are focusing on creating roles because uh, we are going to like connect the lambda. Okay, here we have a lambda function. From here we are going to connect to another service called SES. Okay, so these are two systems entirely, okay, which are running on top of AWS infrastructure, right? I already said, right, they're in some data centers. They are going to connect with each other. These are two different programs. So for this connection, now we are going to create a role here. Okay, so it's the high level thing. You can just come here, create role. You're going to connect to AWS service, right? What service you are going to connect from Lambda, you're going to connect. Okay, and you can just give a permission like, let me just grab the permission name. Okay, we call it as AWS. I'm just giving few permissions, okay, for CloudWatch logs. Okay, and basic execution role, right? Let me just quickly add this basic execution role. Okay, this is for Lambda. Just click next, and let's give a name like AWS Lambda role. Okay, uh, so it says like I'll just create a role. Okay, assume role. You don't have to worry about these things. Okay, there is like a STS assume role which internally creates by AWS, and on which service is like Lambda. Okay, I'll create a role, something like that. It says. Okay, uh, click create now. Okay, create role. It just creates it. Okay, but this Lambda also needs another permission. Not only executing, we need something like to send the email. Okay, so let's quickly like create a new policy. Okay, this policy is like permissions attaching to this role. Okay, that's how this is like a policy. Okay, this is a policy, and we're going to create another policy similar to this. Okay, uh, so let's create a Lambda permission. Okay, click JSON over here so that you can just type this policy. We can learn these policies in our future classes. Just I'm just giving the practical thing, how to just create roles and how to attach them, all the things. Okay, just click next. Give some policy name like something like you're attaching to the SES. Okay, so I'm just giving something like this and just create policy. Okay, and if you just paste it just to cross verify whether it created or not, you can just click here and see like it can just do like send SES send email, SES send raw email. These are the two actions which you are going to do on all the resources. All right, this policy you are going to attach to this role. Okay, just now we created, right? So you can add permissions, attach like create inline policy, something like this, and you can just do it here. Okay, or else you can just do something like attach policy, whatever the policy you just created just now, right? So you attach this one, add permissions. Perfect. So this is like custom managed policy. You just attached it, and that's it. So now you are this role as permissions to execute Lambda, and you also having a permission called you can connect to SES role. Okay, we can discuss these roles, users, permissions, everything in future classes. But I just want to show this practical quickly to you all guys. Okay, uh, yeah, what we were doing is just we are creating Lambda. Okay, just quickly we can just create a Lambda with some send email. Okay, let's have Python and this execution role, right? This role is something like we just created just now. We are going to select use an existing role here. We can create a new one directly from here, but I wanted to like show you how clearly we are going to create role and how exactly the role is created. For users it's different, and for roles it's different. Why we create a role, I just wanted to show you this one, so that's why I just went created a role separately. Okay, you can come here, choose an existing role. So this is the Lambda role we created, and we attached all the policies to it, to run the SES and even the to execute this Lambda function. Okay, it needs that access, right? So you can just ignore these all configuration in deploying to VPC. Okay, create function. That's it. So it's as simple as it is. Okay, it just configured everything. Okay, and it just gave us the just a visual editor. Just run, give your Lambda function, and you can just run it. Something like that. Okay. So let me just grab my code quickly, and let me open my code. So so this is not a Flask app right now, okay? Because the entire server thing, you don't have to worry about it. The configuration part and the respective triggering part, right? We are going to do it right now. But the infrastructure part, creation of the server, the port number, everything is handled by our own Lambda function. So that's why we the term called serverless. Okay. So if you see here, I just wrote like three functions. Okay, this is like a sample Lambda function, Lambda code. Okay, these functions you can just ignore these two. Okay, these are just for response. Whenever a user comes and trigger a request, we just send a response in a proper formatted way. That is like status code, headers, and body. You can just ignore this. And this parse event also just there is like few things, right? Uh, Once you just a user comes and hit this Lambda, we call it as like a trigger or event. Okay, some event has happened. Even there are possibilities like there are some cron jobs, otherwise some other service similar to SES or some DynamoDB or some other service can trigger this Lambda. So we call it as a common way like event. So that event we are going to capture it and we are going to parse it. That's it. You just ignore this entire logic. You can think like I'm just taking the body from that event. That's it. So once you just pass that event, okay, and this is the main function. We are going to handle and everything over here. You'll get that event, pass it. You just send that to this function. You'll get the body. From that body, you'll be having email, subject, and message. This is the thing you need to send from front end to send a email to the that user, this recipient. From where it will go is from the default one. That is, we already need to configure the default user to whom you need to send, or else we already have the from email, right? From that it goes to this default user, or else from the body you can just take this to. Okay, you can even configure like from and to, but for now I'm just sending to the same user, right? So you can just ignore everything. But yeah, this is like basic code. You can just go through it. I'm just doing like send email. Uh, the another thing you need to know is like we are using Boto 3, which is one of the module to connect to any AWS service. Okay, now we are connected to SES V2. This is like latest version, but previously we used to have SES. Okay, but you can think like SES V2 is latest version of SES to send the email. Okay, this is the region which we configured. So we just used Boto 3, one of the library of Python, which is used to connect to the AWS services. Okay. Uh, yeah. While deploying, we need to do add these two things. These are environment variables. I'll tell you like where we can exactly add. But let me just quickly grab this code and deploy it. Okay. Uh, just come to this code. Okay. Directly you can edit here. and paste here, okay, or else you can do programmatically and deploy here, but in future we're going to learn it, right? How automatically we can deploy it. And yeah, let me just add these two variables quickly in my environment variables. Here in the environment variables, we need to go to like configuration, and here we will be having environment variables in this Lambda dashboard. Okay, you can explore this one. There are like code, test, monitor, configuration, alias versions, these all things, but you can just explore it. But I'm showing what are the important features we are going to use. Okay, just edit it, add an environment variable, paste it, and the value you need to give the Amazon email ID. Okay, like the email ID which you want to send from. Okay, and just add this one, and you're having another default one. Okay, you can just do it optional, but I'm just giving this one too. Okay, I'll show you a different practical so that you'll get to know what I want to show. Okay, just save these two environment variables. Now these two variables will be captured. I just added the same value because to the same email ID I'll be sending from and to that email. That's it. That's why I added the same email ID from and to. And now you can just go to the code. You can clearly see that we have one file, and with the help of bottle 3 we are going to send the email. We are going to connect to SES v2, and from email, from environment, we are going to capture it, and default value also we are going to capture it, and we are going to send to that email. Okay, so let's deploy this one. Okay, we need to deploy this app. We can quickly deploy from here. Okay, or else I think there is an option called deploy actions, uh, publish new version. No, you can just deploy from here directly. Okay, uh, yeah, successfully updated the function, sent email, it got deployed. Okay, now you can just test it from here, something like yeah, you can just give test. So this is just like an event name, I said, right? Whoever has to trigger, that is called as like event. Just give some sample event name, and just remove everything. You can just give this request body. Okay, we can trigger from postman also, but I'm just testing directly from here. Okay, uh, which is a nice way to test a function from here itself. Okay, you can just give the recipient, or else you can just ignore it. And I'm just ignoring it because I gave the default email ID to the same email ID, but I can show you how to send it to the default user also. Okay, this is like template, this is optional, you can just ignore it. Now you'll be getting this email, right? Okay, let me just click. The subject will be hello and welcome to our email list. Just click test. Okay, that's it. So you can see like execution function succeeded, and you can just click on this, it will show the logs. This is the same response we just wrote here, if you remember here. Okay, it says 200 okay and send to this email address. So if you see this message, that means you need to see a email. Okay, it might be in spam, just refresh it. Yeah, you can see here. So welcome to our email mailing list. So some, you can just write something like uh, yesterday we were discussing, right, to invite to our party, right? Welcome to party, something like that. We can just write it and just test it. That's it. It will just run it. You can quickly see that you are just running only a single serverless function. Everything is managed by your AWS. Okay, you can just quickly check. You should receive another email, welcome to the party. That's it. So till now what we did is we created a Lambda, we triggered an event from test. Okay, and we created a role to connect to SES, that is another service of AWS, and it triggered an email and sent to my email box. Okay, this is the entire thing we did till now. Now we are going to do the final step, is that is like connect to API gateway. Okay, uh, yeah, just go and click API gateway. Yesterday we already created an API gateway, right? We can just quickly deploy it, create a new API, just build it, create a new API called send email. Okay, something like this, and you can keep the regional and everything. Just click create and create a new resource. Okay, something like send email, right? Which is like same as this Lambda function name, send email, to make sure it is aligned. And just it will be like slash email this path. Okay, you can just click enable this one also. Just create resource. Okay, now if you remember, in this resource we are going to create methods. Let me quickly create a method. Okay, and it is a post method. Okay, if you remember, we are posting some data to backend or the server, this data. Okay, and to tell that post server, like you need to send a email. Okay, so it is a lambda function. Yesterday we triggered to an HTTP, but now we are going to trigger to a lambda function. You select that, just select the region where you deployed this lambda. Okay, you can quickly see the region over here, okay, or else even you can just check it in the configurations, okay, but just ignore for now, okay. You can think like it's deployed in US East 1, okay. Now select the Lambda function which already deployed, okay. This is the one, send email. So what we're doing is in API gateway, we are connecting to that Lambda from the API gateway. That's it. Okay, just ignore these all things. Just click create method. It just created successfully. Okay. The only part is now left over is you can test it directly from here. Okay, or else you can just deploy this one. Just click on deploy. I didn't show you yesterday. I'm just showing you right now. Click deploy and choose a new stage. This is something like you'll be having different stages. Okay, in deployment, you'll be having dev, QA, stage, test, prod, and like that. I'm just giving some name like dev stage, and you can just deploy it. So it's like deploy to a dev server or dev environment. Okay. So now you have gotten this invoke URL. Just copy it. Okay. And now you can test it from Postman, or else you can just uh, do it directly from the resource itself. Here. Anything is fine. You can test it from here or here. Okay. Now you got an uh, endpoint URL. Okay. If you go to stages, you can clearly see invoke URL. Okay. So you can just update this one. Okay. Something like slash send email. Okay. This is the resource. Yesterday we discussed, right? You need to have this resource. It's in demo environment, and this is the URL. Okay. Now you can clearly see this is in HTTPS, which is completely handled by API Gateway. This is a post message, and in body raw JSON, you can add the response, something like just now we tested, right? We can go to Lambda and test this one. You can just copy this one, okay, and you can paste here. You can give the empty one. It works. Why? Because I added the default values here. So if you want, I can just test with the empty one first. You can just click send. It says like 200 success response. That means it's working perfectly fine. Okay, you can check it. Go to the spam. See, hello from Lambda plus SES. It works. It's working right. So this is like a good hands-on practical. Okay, to check how complete flow is working, right? You can just give this one. You can give email also. You can test it. It works. You can give your email over here. It works. Okay. Uh, but it's if it is empty also, you can just send it. Okay. It works. Why? Because it sends to this default one. We already configured it in the environment variables over here. So yeah, that's it for today. Okay, we discussed about the complete Lambda, how to trigger it, and we added an API gateway here. Okay, and now if you see, we didn't triggered the Lambda, the API gateway itself triggered the Lambda. So this is one of the example where one service will be triggering another service, and this another service will be triggering another service. These two are connected indirectly, and it creates another role. You cannot see it, but I think in IAM we can see normally, but you can think like there is a role created to connect to, so something like this AWS service role for API gateway. They just created it for when you just did for the first time, right? So you can just go through this one. Okay, in what all things it's going to like allow for the API gateway to connect to which resources, but you can think like it's just connecting to this Lambda. Okay, so you can think like we connected to API gateway, and API gateway is connected to Lambda, and Lambda is sending a request to SES, and SES is sending the email. Okay, so this is the entire flow we did today, and I think we discussed a lot today. The only thing we just didn't discuss is the CloudWatch. I can just quickly do it right now. The CloudWatch is something like we do have a lot of logs. Okay, something like a monitoring kind of thing. Okay, regarding this Lambda, we didn't do any configuration or infrastructure configuration. Okay, AWS has done. You can clearly see all the requests which are coming to this Lambda. Okay, how much seconds it took, how many invocations it happened, how many minimum and average and maximum time it took. Okay, and the count of failures and success messages. You can just check here. These many errors happened. Okay, like that. And even throughout a lot of the metrics, we call it as metrics, we can monitor from here uh, regarding this Lambda. And even we have a CloudWatch log group. Okay, once you click on that button, it redirects to a CloudWatch different service. This is also a serverless service, and it automatically creates this log group. Okay, and once you just go inside this log group, you can clearly see all the logs. Okay, these all logs. You can just print it for debugging purpose. This is very useful whenever there is some error, right? You can just print something like print the body, right? print the body, something like this. Okay, you can just tool change, deploy it, and you can just trigger it, right? You can test it quickly. Let me just test it quickly, just to show how CloudWatch log works. Just go to log groups, right, where it is. Yeah, it's over here. You can just open the latest one. Okay, you can clearly see this is the body. Subject, hello, message, welcome to the party. This is same exact log we just kept here. Okay, just in case if you don't have any messages, it shows like empty. You can just debug it quickly from this page, which is very helpful. You can even explore this page like 1 minute. You can see something like this, and you can refresh it, check the latest logs, and see what message it's sending. You can just see, okay, this is the latest one, which is empty message we just sent. But in the next steps, we just added the default messages here. So here, if you just print it, it's an empty one. So yeah, a lot of things we learned today. In future classes, we're going to build much automatic way to deploy this entire process, right? So we did a good hands-on practical today. In future, we're going to do much more regarding the microservices part and automation of a complete infrastructure setup, whatever we did manually today. Okay, so yeah, that's it for today, guys. Thank you and have a good day. Bye.